What's going on, everybody? My name is MT, and welcome to something that I have yet to do before, and probably will never do again. This should be fun. And guess what, everybody? You are getting a new version of Spider-Man in the movies! What? Yep, we now have had more confirmed movie versions of Spider-Man than we have had presidents of the United States of America. That's a problem. I mean, first we had way too old to be a new high school graduate Spider-Man, who also doubled as mysterious alien gloopy black stuff made me emo, and now I like to dance in the street, steal your girlfriend, and you'll get your damn rent when you fix this damn door, Spider-Man, on his spare time. And then we had Crybaby, I need to break up with you a minimum of 17 times because I see your dead dad everywhere I go, Spider-Man. And now, of course, we have a new Spider-Man, as will be played by actor Tom Holland, because the Sony did not know what to do with the product that they bought. Like, seriously, this whole situation is like somebody walked into the Marvel ukulele store and bought a Marvel ukulele. I mean, I'm not sure why Marvel has a ukulele store, but shut up! This is my analogy. And then that person came back to the ukulele store and said, "Hello? I need to speak to your manager. Can I speak to your manager? The saxophone is defective." Yeah, but that's a ukulele. You're not listening to me. This saxophone does not operate. Well, yeah, because you're not doing it right. Sir, please, doing the same thing over and over again is not going to make your ukulele a saxophone. Just learn how to play the ukulele. But will it work if I put a rhino at the end? What? No, just let me show you. Give me the damn ukulele. Stop, please. So yeah, because Sony doesn't know what they're doing, we're getting yet another version of Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War so soon after the lackluster disappointment that was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. And so now everybody's thinking, whoa, what is going on? Didn't Andrew Garfield just put on the red pajamas? Like, how the hell are Sony and Marvel going to explain and justify why we've gotten so many different freaking separate versions of Spider-Man? Like, who's Spider-Man now? Am I Spider-Man? I would like to be Spider-Man. I can do it. I can't do it. And that is a good, fair, and logical question. A question that I may have an answer to. But before I do, I want you all to bear in mind that everything that I'm about to say is all speculation and guessing. Like, other than a reference to like a piece of news or two, nothing that I'm about to say is confirmed fact. So, if what I say sounds like the stupidest bullshit you've ever heard, chances are it's probably the stupidest bullshit you've ever heard, because, like every guess, I could be completely wrong. So please try your best to hear me out until the end, and I will try my best to have all this make sense. Hopefully. So anyways, with all that being said, how will Marvel and Sony explain why Sony has abandoned the Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universes? Simple. They haven't. Yet. Well, actually, it's not simple at all. I just said simple to make myself sound cooler. What are you talking about, MT? We haven't had a Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movie in like 10 years. And not to mention, Sony fired Andrew Garfield hardcore because they didn't get along. What do you mean their universes aren't over? Are you crazy? 2 words. Spider-Verse. Well, it's actually one hyphenated word, but it sounds like 2 words, okay? What is the Spider-Verse, you ask? Well, good question. Let's dumb it down in super ultra layman's terms, shall we? Let's take you, for example. In this universe, you are you. You were born you are who you are, and you will die who you are. And whether or not that person dies alone all depends on how many stamps and or cats you have collected in your lifetime. But in another universe, you are Zumba instructor. And in another universe from that one, you are actually just a koala. And in another universe from that one, you are still a Zumba instructor, but you are also the President of the United States of America, who is also a koala. Like, you see what I'm saying? In every universe, there is a there is a version of you. That's me in every universe. In every universe, there is a version of you that is unique to that universe and has lived a very different life than you have. And those universes can be as drastically different as those versions of you are to each other, if that makes sense. And the Spider-Verse is basically that, but in every universe, in the Marvel universe, there is a different version of Spider-Man. Not all of them are Peter Parker, but a lot of them are. For example, there is a Spider-Man in the universe known as Earth 92100 that has 6 arms and is called the Man-Spider. And if you thought that was crazy, there was a Spider-Man from Earth 51778 that has 2 arms and is Japanese. Well, that's not all that crazy, but he has a Megazord because, you know, Japan. And on Earth 13, there is a version of Spider-Man that is just like Spider-Man, except not at all, because he has godlike cosmic powers. So, the next time a Mormon stops you on the street, you can share with them the good news of the one true God, Spider-Man. And if they ask you to prove it, you can just whip out your comic book and be like, hey, it's in the book, so it must be true. That'll work every time, trust me. And so yeah, the list goes on and on and on, with every universe having their own version of Spider-Man, and everything was fine, and everything was dandy, and everybody got along, and wrong! That is incorrect! In the Spider-Verse comics, there is an ancient clan of beings known as the Inheritors, who have a very, very picky diet that consists of only spiders and Tostitos pizza rolls, because everybody loves Totino's pizza rolls. And by spiders, I mean Spider-Men and Spider-Women. Don't want to be spider-sexist. So what happens is that these Inheritors gain the power to hop around the Marvel multiverse, and they use that power to start hunting and feasting on these Spider-Men because they are very strong and very hungry. And when I say these guys are strong, these guys are ridiculously strong. They can literally murder 2 Spider-Men with their bare hands in 30 seconds or less, or your pizza is free. Psych, you ain't ordering a pizza because you got those Totino's pizza rolls on deck, son! And so naturally, when these Spider-Men find out that they're being hunted, they decide to band together and recruit as many Spider-Men as they can to start an army known as the Web Warriors so they can defend themselves against these Inheritor guys. And, you know, hopefully take them down. And yes, they use the Spider Megazord, because why wouldn't you use the Spider Megazord? Are you stupid? I mean, it doesn't really help because that Megazord gets rocked by one Inheritor dude, but hey, that's an A for effort if I ever did see one. Anyways, I have said all that I've said to say this. I strongly believe that Marvel is helping Sony gear up for a Spider-Verse cinematic universe, or a cinematic Spider-Verse. A cinematic universe that technically would have started 13 years ago with the release of Spider-Man 1 in 2002. And why am I so convinced that Marvel and Sony are doing this? Because Sony doesn't know what they're doing, and they keep rebooting their Spider-Man movies, and frankly, their audience is getting confused. And what better way to get rid of that confusion and excuse your past mistakes than to just say that the Tobey Maguire and the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films are just 2 small parts in an overall Spider-Man cinematic universe. A cinematic multiverse, I should say. But MT, you're not making any sense. How the hell can Sony continue these universes if A, they fired Andrew Garfield, and B, Tobey Maguire may not want to play Spider-Man again? Easy. Sony will just have the Inheritors kill them off. One or both of them, depending on whether or not Tobey Maguire wants to be Spider-Man again. And if they do kill them off, the best way to do that, in my opinion, is via a post-credit scene at the end of Captain America Civil War, or at the end of the first solo Marvel Sony Spider-Man film. Or even at the end of Marvel's Doctor Strange, which, in my opinion, would be the best choice if you're gonna do a post-credit scene. Alright, picture this. You just finished watching an amazing Marvel movie, and you're sitting there like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, Marvel. That was an amazing movie. I've got to take the world's biggest piss because I've been sitting here through these credits waiting for a post-credit scene, and oh my god, is that a bloody Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst? I thought they weren't in Spider-Man anymore. What's going on? In the Spider-Verse comics, Peter Parker and Mary Jane have 2 kids together, a teenage daughter named May and a baby boy named Ben. They picked their names out of a hat. Completely random, completely insignificant. And like their father, May and Ben have spider powers, and May actually becomes Peter's successor after Peter hurts his leg really badly and can't be Spider-Man anymore. So if you're a spider-hungry Inheritor guy like Damus, this is basically an all-you-can-eat spider buffet. I mean, 3 spider people in one house. I mean, come on. They're basically asking for it. I mean, did you see what they were wearing? I mean, come on. So what Sony could do, if Tobey Maguire didn't want to actively become a Spider-Man again, is have Tobey Maguire come back for this one scene where Peter Parker and his family are actively trying to fight this guy named Damus, but end up getting their butts kicked in a superb fashion, just like in the comics. And so, Peter and Mary Jane, knowing full well that they have no chance against this guy, willingly go and sacrifice themselves so that their children have a chance to escape with a band of Spider-Man that came to save them and recruit them to their spider army. Which unfortunately leads to Peter being consumed by this Inheritor guy and his daughter vowing to go against everything she believed in to murder Deimos for murdering her father. And I'm not saying that Sony and Marvel will use that incident exactly, or that they should kill off Tobey Maguire Maguire. But I can't see a better way for them to introduce the concept of a Spider-Verse than to bring back the Spider-Man that basically kickstarted the superhero genre, and then having him brutally murdered by a new mysterious threat. You see, not only would that get people excited, but now you got people pissed off at these Inheritor guys, and they were like, man, I want some justice, man. I want to see them pay. And bam, you got some Spider-Verse hype. And in that same scene, they could go ahead and cut to the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe and then just murder Andrew Garfield at his house in front of his aunt. And you wouldn't even have to have Andrew Garfield in the scene, because they could just have a person dressed up as Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and then have it voiced over with a guy that sounds like Andrew Garfield. I feel like that would make sense. My point is, Sony has literally run out of chances to make Spider-Man work. If they have another failed Spider-Man, they run the risk of calling it quits and then having to sell that property, which they don't want to do. And what better way to completely revitalize interest in your property than to give your main Peter Parker Spider-Man to Marvel, because they know what they're doing and can make him look good, while at the same time giving yourself like a zillion chances for success by introducing multiple Spider-Men, having them all come together in an Avengers type Spider-Verse scenario type movie, and then after that movie, branching the successful characters off into spin-off trilogies of their own. Like, I'm talking old school Spider-Man Noir, an alternate universe Spider-Man from the 1930s, who is basically the Batman of all Spider-Men, to be honest. I'm talking the futuristic Spider-Man 2099, a really, really cool Spider-Man from the year 2099, which is of course the year Marty McFly arrives to the future, and you can't prove me wrong because I'm right. I'm talking the badass Scarlet Spider, the super smart Spider-Man India, and the steampunked out Lady Spider. And I'm talking fan favorites like Spider-Gwen, Silk, and yes, even the much requested Miles Morales. In fact, in an interview with the new Spider-Man director, John Watts, he said that there is a possibility that Miles Morales may make a cameo in his new Spider-Man film, but he couldn't talk too much about the subject. And if this happens, I'm not saying that it will, but if this happens, how the hell can both Peter Parker and Miles Morales exist on the same Earth universe? Because in the Ultimate Comics, before Miles Morales takes up the mantle as Spider-Man, his universe's Peter Parker had to die. And seeing as Tom Holland seems to be around to stay, my guess, and this is a complete guess and based on no facts whatsoever, Sony will have an alternate universe Miles Morales appear at the end of Tom Holland's first solo outing to try to recruit him to his Web Warriors, which is a stupid name. And what alternate universe will that be? I don't know, but if they do end up killing off Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, then why not just use the Amazing Spider-Man universe that you spent 2 movies building? I mean, why would you waste that? Put Miles Morales in there because Andrew Garfield will be dead. I mean, hell, put Miles against the Sinister Six that Osborn was growing in his Build-A-Bear supervillain workshop in his basement. Actually, no, wait, don't do that last part. That was stupid. They should totally just ignore that even happened. And yes, I know that all this Miles Morales stuff seems a lot like me fan-fictioning out, because there are literally millions of ways that they can introduce Miles into their cinematic universe. But seriously, think about it. The fact that Miles Morales is even being considered to be a part of Sony and Marvel's first solo Spider-Man film is a major red flag, because this is a solo film. But I completely understand if that specifically does not sell you on the existence of an upcoming Spider-Verse cinematic universe. But listen to this next part, okay? Okay, this part is really important because in April of 2015, Sony announced that they were working together with the directors of the Lego Movie to create a new Spider-Man animated film that was to exist outside of the current Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in regards to this mysterious movie, they said that it is not just another Peter Parker origin story that you've seen 400 times. It is something totally unique and different and not like anything you've seen. That's all I can say, and you're going to love it. Okay, so the two directors of the hilarious Lego Movie are working together to make a Spider-Man movie that is animated and unlike anything that anybody has ever seen before. Yeah, they're making a Spider-Ham movie. Yes, I said ham as in pig, as in bacon, as in ham. Look, I know how stupid this sounds, and I know that I've probably lost all credibility by this point in this video, but I promise you that Spider-Ham is a thing. Spider-Ham, aka Peter Parker, is actually a prominent member of the Web Warriors Spider-Verse team. And he comes from a universe where everybody is an animal, Captain America is a cat, and the Incredible Hulk is a bunny, and everything is just ridiculous. Making an animated Spider-Ham movie alongside your live-action Spider-Man movie only makes sense if, 1, they are trying to introduce the concept of the Spider-Verse to their audience, and 2, why the hell else would you make an animated Spider-Man movie that exists outside of the MCU? That would be super random and stupid and a waste of money. And given how ridiculous the concept is, how hilarious the Lego movie was, and Spider-Man's main demographic, this movie has the opportunity to make $1 zillion because it would be hilarious for adults and kids alike. And also, Sony has approached Marvel in the past before they made this Spider-Man deal to try to get the rights to Spider-Ham, but Marvel was like, nah, this is a gray area. You can't have it, we can't have it, let's just drop it. And seeing as the MCU made it okay for a talking raccoon and a talking tree to make millions of dollars, I don't see why it's impossible to import an animated talking Spider-Pig to a live-action Spider-Man cinematic universe for an Avengers-type Spider-Verse event. Like, I don't think that would be all that difficult to sell. Anyways, all I'm trying to say is, these days, everybody wants to be Marvel. DC, Sony, Fox, everybody wants their own cinematic universe. And with the introduction of a Spider-Verse, Marvel could help steer Sony down a path that helps them realize that dream by giving us, the audience, spider stories that we will not only love, but also stories that we have never seen before. Because that was the biggest problem with Sony Spider-Man movies, because they all essentially told the same story. And there was so little that they could do with the characters and the settings that they had. But now, with the help of the Web Warriors and the Spider-Verse, Sony will now be able to work with Marvel to boost up their Peter Parker Spider-Man image while simultaneously growing their own cinematic Avengery type scenario where they will receive 100% of the profits because they will all be solo Spider-Man films. It's literally a win-win for both Marvel and Sony, and as of now, I strongly believe that all signs are pointing towards this happening, but I could be wrong. Again, I must reiterate that this is all speculation and could end up being absolute bullcrap. I just felt like sharing that potential bullcrap with the internet because this is the internet, the home of bullshit, speculation, and theories. Also mild to extreme racism. It is home to that as well. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this crazy, weird video. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it! Or you can just leave a thumbs up on this video. That also makes me happy on the inside. My name is MT, and hopefully, I will catch you guys later.